quorum call for us, please.
Joe Plankis,
Here?
John Dart,
Here.
Brian Michael,
Here.
Larry Kemper,
Here.
Steve Latour.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Everyone is here. Thank you very much. Pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have any changes to the agenda, Janelle? Okay, no changes. We'll move on to approval of minutes. Are there any questions or corrections in regards to the minutes from commission members? If not, I'm open for motion for approval.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Steve Latour, we have a second.
Second.
John Dart, second. Thank you very much. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item is approval of executive session memorandum. Any comments or changes to the memorandum? Seeing none, need a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Larry Kemper, motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
John Dart for second. David, please take the roll.
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian
Aye.
Michael, Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on treasurer's report? I've looked at a few of them, but really haven't had the time to try to get through Oscar's 62-page document. That took a while. But thank you, Oscar. So, okay, we will move on to approval of claims. Any questions or comments on claims? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, Brian Michael, motion for approval of claims. Do I have a second?
Second.
John Dart, second. Thank you very much. David, please take the roll.
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is old business. Action item number 1, Resolution 44-2025, a resolution of the City of Westfield Redevelopment Commission regarding Jersey Street project agreement and grants. Janelle?
Mr. President, would you like me to do the executive director's report?
Oh,
I'm happy to do it after old business if you want to keep moving.
I apologize. I buzzed right over it, Janelle.
okay.
My fault. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, I'm doing my report in a bit of a different format for all of you today. I wanted to share one of the pitch decks that I use. Generally, this is the form of a pitch deck that I use with some of our companies that I'm talking with, because I think it highlights some of the accolades about our city that we don't talk about frequently in these meetings, and just thought it would be helpful to provide some information about our goals and our workforce and where we're headed at North Point. So these are some of our focus areas that we're working on here within the Economic Development Department, including downtown mixed-use walkable districts. There will be a rollout of a downtown master plan tomorrow morning at a developer roundtable. The mayor is going to be presenting along with Browning Day. And they did the master plan for downtown, and then we'll also have community development going over the timeline and next steps for adoption of the plan and zoning updates. We focus on trail-oriented development, primarily along the Monon and the Midland Trace Trail. And of course, we've been working on the Grand Park District Master Plan for quite some time and starting to work on the implementation of that, and then business attraction for job creation. So these are some of the current community accolades that we highlight. Recently, we made the number 5 on the Best Small Cities in America list with Wallet Hub. We've also been ranked number 4 best places to live in Indiana by Niche in July of 2025, along with number 3 places with the best public schools in Indiana in July of 2025. We have over 100 miles of trails, including the Monon and Midland Trace and other named trails. 11 parks, including 2 that have won awards that I'm aware of, Grand Junction Plaza and Simon Moon Parks. Simon Moon has won 2 awards within the last month, one of them at AIM and the other one at the Monumental Awards that are awarded by Indy Chamber. We, of course, also have the largest youth sports campus in the U.S. at Grand Park. We have a business-friendly environment. We provide pro-business incentives. Our customized incentive packages include real and personal property abatement or tax increment financing for qualified investments. We've worked really hard over the last year and a half to create more guidelines on when we are offering the different types of incentives and to bring those guidelines with us when we make those requests to City Council and the RDC for approval. Assistance in negotiating Indiana state incentives, including R&D tax credits. Claire particularly does work quite closely with IEDC on additional incentives that might be available for headquarters or manufacturing companies that are interested in locating here. And then shovel-ready sites, including zoning and abatement approvals on speculative development. This has been a key strategy over the last year and a half to make it easier for companies to come in and build buildings so that we can find sites to locate businesses when they want to be here. This significantly shortens the time frame for a business to be able to get in the doors when the PUD or the inherent underlining zoning is already in place and construction can start quickly. Great example of a recent speculative development approved with Patch Development Group just last month has already broken ground. They were obligated to start the project by December of 2025, and they have already hit that deadline and are moving very quickly. So we're excited to be able to offer a location to prospective businesses that is now under construction. These are some highlights of our workforce profile that I think are really beneficial to share with companies that are looking to hire in high-tech or professional services types of businesses. Our educational attainment has a concentration of advanced expertise that's needed for AI, R&D, and other corporate leadership. So as you can see from a lot of the data that has been compiled, we have about 60% of our residents with a bachelor's degree or higher, 20% with a graduate degree or higher. So this is really showing that we can attract and retain high-earning professionals. One of the most interesting graphics that I've been able to find, this is an excerpt from a report that was done by Avison Young earlier this year. This shows the comparison of the residents who are working within 15, in purple, this is a 15-minute drive of a site. This darker navy or black is within, this is white-collar occupation. So this is management. Let me start over. Purple is management occupations within 15 minutes of a site. Black or navy is the white-collar occupations within 15 minutes of a site, and then this greenish color is the white-collar occupations within 20 minutes of the site. And our chart in Westfield is almost identical to the Salesforce Tower location. So we have the ability to attract the same demographic of professionals in Westfield as our central business district in downtown Indianapolis, which I think is amazing. This really gives us a great opportunity to fill those professional services and advanced manufacturing, advanced technology, leadership positions, engineering, strategy. This is also an interesting civilian labor force profile. This is one report of many that are provided to us through our membership with Indy Chamber. We're part of something called Indy Partnership, and we work really closely with professionals that are focused on economic development across central Indiana, and this information is available to us at any time, and they update on a regular basis. I will say too that those reports, I did pick that specific report for a business that I was talking with. I can choose lots of different types of reports, so if there's something in particular that they're looking to hire for, I can choose different reports to give them more granular information. Quick update on downtown projects. You are going to see a couple of action items coming to you about Park and Poplar. Nothing has changed on this summary. Just wanted to go over the high-level investment information as a refresher. This is a multifamily mixed-use development with office and build-to-rent apartments and townhomes. Its estimated investment is about $123 million. Its current base assessed value is about $91,000 per acre, and after completion, the estimated assessed value per acre will be about $5.5 million per acre. I will note that compared to other downtown developments, this is a relatively low number, and I want to explain why this is lower than we see in some of our other projects, for example, Jersey 32, which you'll see here in a couple minutes. One is that we have planned for a plaza to be built between the two office buildings north of the Midland Trace Trail. There is also a large amenity space in the courtyard within the building footprint. And then we also have quite a bit of green space that's within floodplain to the south and east of the building itself. So there is inherently just less area that can be built on or we're using for public amenities, which is, again, why it's less per acre. We will see an annual tax increment of about $1.1 million a year and an annual school referendum income of $139,000 per year. Our incentives on this project, again, this was a project that we have oversized the parking garage to provide additional parking spaces for existing businesses along Park Street and Jersey Street. We are therefore including above and beyond the TIF, grant of the land, and some PIF and RIF. They're actually not going to be credits. We're going to apply the PIF and RIF to the plaza construction and the trail construction. Those will be constructed by the city, but those costs will all go directly from this project into improvements here on the site. 240 luxury mixed-use multifamily units and 56 brownstone apartments. I'm most excited about the office spaces that are coming here. We are in desperate need of office in our downtown. This is really going to help bring lunch traffic in for our restaurants and bring a lot of vitality to our downtown spaces throughout the workday. Any questions on this one? This one I'm going to pause on because I know we are going to have these two action items approving financing. Nope.
Any questions for Janelle?
Is that parking garage going to be public use as well, or just for the apartment?
Yes, this will be available for public use, and it will be structured similarly to the Union, where we'll have 3 hours of free parking, and then it will be paid after that. The ownership structure on this project will be slightly differently for the garage component than the Union project. This will be eventually owned by the city. We're going to be entering into a lease between the RDA, the RDC, and the developer. The developer will take on all responsibilities for the ongoing maintenance, repairs, management of the garage throughout the life of the bond. And then at the end of the bond, they will assume responsibility of the garage so that that ongoing maintenance is their responsibility and not that of the taxpayers.
And will they lease any of that garage to the office buildings that'll be adjacent?
Yes, so this is all available to the tenants, the occupants of these buildings, as well as the public. They'll have the opportunity to reserve up to 30% of the parking spaces, and then they can administer that to the office building, and then the rest of it will be available for the public on a daily basis. Great questions. Just some updates on Union Square and Sun King. Sun King has actually come along quite a way since that photo was taken here, probably 6 to 8 weeks ago. It has all of its skin up. It's like a dark gray, really pretty.
Facade looks great.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice looking building today. So we'll get an updated version for next month. And this is H Steakhouse, which you're all familiar with. This project photo is also about 6 weeks ago. So, or no, I guess it's longer than that. I need an updated photo of that one too. We're probably 10 weeks out on that one. Ambrose on Main is under construction. If you take a drive out to State Road 32 and East Street, you can see that one of the stair towers is completely topped out, and they're working on foundations for the rest of the project. They have a lot of the underground utilities already in place, and we should probably start to see things really come into fruition here over the next couple of months. Grand on Main, formerly known as Jersey 32 project. No significant updates on this project since the last time we talked about it. However, the Art Plaza, we have narrowed down from 52 applicants for that art installation down to 3. So we're going to be putting together a request for proposal from those qualified applicants, offering a reasonable stipend for their time to put together more detailed proposals, and then we'll be doing a final selection in cooperation with the Parks Department to install this sculptural art here. This is, again, themed to honor our history with the Underground Railroad, and we've been working on this in collaboration with Gang Gang out of Indianapolis. Grand Millennium Center, they've started doing some initial grading, especially down on the south end, starting to get things ready for that upgraded detention plan. For those of you who are more familiar with the site, you know that the current detention is here at the north end, and they're going to be rerouting that all closer to the tree line to create more of an amenity.
Janelle, on the
Yes.
way in this evening, I came down 31, and I noticed that the medical building, which was originally in Folsom, Colorado, is now has an Ascension name tag up on the top of the building. Have they leased space, or have they taken that over?
I do not know.
Okay. Maybe you can check with someone and see what the story is there. I was surprised to see that.
Yes, me too. I have not seen it, so I will find out more. And this is the Gateway at Lantern Commons. This PUD was recently approved. This is an upgrade from what was previously approved in the original PUD for the Lantern Commons development, which was more of a strip center type retail. It had like 3 small retail buildings with a sea of parking. So this has been reimagined to be a little bit more pedestrian friendly with a really nice, this is a restaurant here at the corner and a really nice plaza out behind it. There's a lot of grade change in this development. It's hard to see in this view, but there'll be a nice terraced step up into the building from the street view here. I think this is just going to be a really nice overlook.
Do we have any update on the hotel?
Not yet, but they've requested a meeting.
Okay.
So I should know more soon, I hope. Updates on North Point and North Point 2. This is our Aurora allocation area. Claire has been working on quite a few projects here at North Point, and unfortunately she's not here to share on her own, but I will give her the kudos for really doing some great work here. There have been some new permits issued. North Point Commerce Park Lot 1 and 2, those are both with JRF construction, and then we've had zoning approvals at North Point for Commerce Park Lot 4, also JRF, and then the patch development, as I mentioned previously, which is already under construction. And then this Duke Readiness Grant has been a really great program that Claire has been leading over probably the last 6 months. Duke has worked with a group of site selectors to do a survey with Banning Engineering of our assets at North Point 2 and help us understand what would need to be done in order to make that site more attractive for site selectors to bring businesses to Westfield to develop here. So they have a really nice PowerPoint presentation that they put together for staff and some other stakeholders. I would like to have Claire next month do a presentation to show us some of the highlights from that PowerPoint presentation to really help highlight some of the assets and some of the liabilities that we have there and some of the opportunities that we have for key businesses and business types that we should be attracting to North Point. But what they found, which did not surprise us, was that our biggest challenge out here is that we have a lack of access to water and sewer. We do not have a water supply issue as in volume. We have an infrastructure issue. So this can be fixed. We received a $10,000 grant from Duke Energy to take further study toward becoming ready for development here. And Banning Engineering has provided a proposal, which Claire and I are reviewing here over the next week, for them to do a $10,000 maximum study to help us be ready. Cost estimates, timeline, scope of work, and she can talk again more about the details of what we would envision getting out of that advanced study from Banning. I will say that the most beneficial part of this effort has not been the $10,000 grant. That's a nice to have, but the study that they put together, the PowerPoint presentation, was phenomenal and was probably worth the $10,000 on its own. Just very, very useful information. And the relationships gained throughout that process have been invaluable as well.
Is that something you have access to use parts of that if necessary for a potential client?
The PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
I believe so. I will confirm with her that it can all be shared,
Okay.
but I don't see why it couldn't be. I think it's all intended to be used with site selectors.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Then a couple of North Point neighbors. This isn't new information to all of you, but this would be possibly new information to a company we were trying to attract here. One being Community Hospital, building its campus there along US 31, and then Beacon headquarters relocating to Westfield, and they have broken ground there at East Street. And then our highlights on our sports and recreation. I know this is all repeat for all of you. We are definitely a golf course community with our 2 Pete Dye golf courses, publicly owned Woodwind Golf Course on the west side, and of course, home of 2025 and 2026 Live Golf tournaments. We're still, as far as I know, waiting on the final updated economic impact study. I know Kayla was supposed to be receiving that from Hamilton County Tourism. I will check in with her to see if final numbers have been released. But the original estimate of attendees prior to the event was closer to 40,000, and we ended up with closer to 60,000 attendees through the 3-day event. So very, very well attended. This was really a great win for the city.
Was there ever a decision made on, I think Liv was going to invest in Westfield, some dollars into some community function or?
Yes, in 2025, they put a mural together. It was on display during, it was actually being painted during Live, and that is being installed. I'm going to have to check with Danielle on the location where that's going to be installed, but it'll be installed somewhere in the city as a mural, if you will. There's, post-installed mural. And then their other investment was a number of, I don't remember which school they had selected, but they were providing rounds of golf for youth golfers to be able to access Chatham. Again, Danielle would have more information about the actual project that they did for the city.
One piece of information I did receive is Hankey Development, I believe, I'm not sure if this is all true, has sought and I think received approval for a site in Plainfield that will be annexed to Plainfield, even though it's not contingent. There's state law that allows them to do that. And Live Golf is supposed to build their world headquarters or U.S. headquarters out there in Plainfield. So I'm not sure if we'll get the 27 golf tournament yet for a 3rd year or not, but it looks like that would be their home base. There'll be a couple golf courses and the golf course community involved with Hankey Development.
Okay.
So Steve and his family continue on with major work.
Yeah, he bought the golf course out there called Deer Creek.
Yep. Yep. So that's part of the plan. Thank you, John. I couldn't remember the name.
Great. And then football and more football camps. So we have, of course, Colts Camp, which is hosted at Westfield every year. And then I do like to highlight for these companies that we are on the list of home base locations, base camp site locations for FIFA World Cup 2026. I do not know that the final selection has been announced. I don't know what the date is, but I assume that was going to be in fall sometime. And then Grand Park Campus, which you all have all seen a number of times. I'm not going to go into the details, but I do want to reshare this graphic, which is one of my favorites. This is kind of a play on an old graphic that I used to find this in various publications that showed the IMS with Indianapolis Motor Speedway, with the zoo and Gainbridge, which is now, or Bankers Life, which is now Gainbridge, Lucas Oil and Victory Field all inside. And here's a graphic of Grand Park with the IMS and all of those items on the outside. So it really does give you an idea of just the magnitude of what we have here as an asset. Yeah. And then other sports that we serve here on campus. I went through and compiled a full list of all of the professional sports that I was able to determine play here or call it home. And this was new to me. I did not know that we had a professional ultimate Frisbee team. So you learn something new every day. And then some of the amenities that we have here in and around Grand Park, just helping people understand some of the services and great places to visit that we have nearby. And of course, the excerpts from the Grand Park District Master Plan showing our tourism, number of people coming from beyond 100 miles being 47% of our approximate 37 million visitors over the 2017 to 2023 timeframe. And then this is just a reminder of why we got started with all of this. The Grand Park District Master Plan was heavily influenced by the Hunden study that we had completed in cooperation with Hamilton County Tourism in 2024. You will note that some of the first phase implementations that had been suggested were residential, about 400 units. We're currently working with Keystone Group on term sheet details for their first 2 mixed-use blocks at Grand Park campus, aiming us towards those 400 units. A hotel, the 150 key select service hotel, we very likely are moving up our full service hotel from phase 3 to phase 1 after the announcement of the FIFA World Cup base camp being here. This was a bit of an eye-opener for us that we did not have a single hotel in Westfield that could pair with FIFA. We have a partnership with the Renaissance in Carmel, and so we'll probably swap out the full service hotel for a select service hotel as part of our phase 1. Starting to work on more of our unique retail and traditional retail in the Grand Park area, again in cooperation with Keystone and CARD for the southern portion of the Grand Park campus. Our corporate flex and R&D, we have already landed ECR headquarters, which is 76,000 square feet. So we were off by 1,000 square feet on that estimate. And then we will also continue to work on our connectivity to other areas of the city. But our big highlight here on our non-traditional assets is that 3-sheet ice facility and a winter park concept, which have been implemented into the Grand Park Master Plan in the southern portion of that plan. And we have been working over the last few months on the RFQ and RFP stages to select a developer operator team for an ice hockey facility to serve it'll be other sports, winter sports as well, including figure skating, curling, et cetera. And we hope to have an update for all of you next month. We did have another study done by Hunden, which showed the market demand for a full-service hotel. We'll use this study to help influence the sizing and amenities for the full-service hotel at the Grand Park campus. And then, of course, our Grand Park Master Plan, which I love to highlight with companies that are interested in locating here. So, again, we aren't going to go through all the details of this. You guys have all seen this multiple times before. This is the Grand Park Event Center up here at the north, and then these are the 2 blocks that Keystone will be working on first, and the ECR campus is located right here. And I think that's it. So any questions before I jump back to the agenda?
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Janelle.
You're welcome.
Good overview. Like those new slides. It's great.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the agenda, and again, we have the old business. Action item number 1 is Resolution 44-2025, Resolution of the City of Westfield Redevelopment Commission regarding Jersey Street Project Agreement and Grants. $123 million project, that's great. Janelle?
Something's not right here. Hold on. Oh, sorry, I just grabbed the wrong one. What are we? 17th. My apologies. Hit the wrong button. So, old business should be Park and Poplar. Where's our? There we go. I'm sorry. I had clicked on the wrong one. This is Park and Poplar. Did you say Jersey Street?
Oh. Okay, I apologize because that was the original document, I think. Okay. Park and
Okay.
Poplar.
Okay, it is corrected up here on the screen. Ironic that I also hit exactly, apparently the same thing, and it said Jersey Street here. Okay, so it has been corrected. This is Resolution 44, 2025 regarding Park and Poplar Project Agreement and Grants. This is old business. We had brought this to the commission last month, and Larry Kemper unfortunately cannot vote on the Park and Poplar action items, and without his vote, we did not have enough to make quorum on this particular item, so we've pushed it to this month. There was no other reason for delaying other than that. There have been no updates to the basic terms of this deal from what I just shared with you on the slides. Happy to go over any specific questions that you have about the terms of the agreement with Old Town for this development. But again, it went through in pretty good detail, I think, on the slides.
Okay. Any other questions for Janelle? If not, I'm open for, and Larry, you will be recusing yourself. Open for a motion for approval of Resolution 44-2025.
I'll motion to approve Resolution 44-2025.
Okay, motion by Steve Latour. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Brian Michael. Brian, please, or David, please take the roll.
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0, one abstention. Next item is Resolution 45-2025. Resolution of Westfield Redevelopment Commission pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of economic development revenue bonds of the city of Westfield, Indiana for Park and Poplar project.
Thank you. Dustin would like to come and present on the Park and Poplar bonds. He was very excited.
I just
to
get really
started.
jazzed about municipal bonds, guys. Sorry.
Welcome.
Good evening, commissioners. Dustin Meeks, Barnes and Thornburg. Lovely to be with you this evening. So this resolution is a first step in the approval by the Redevelopment Commission of the city's financing of the Park and Poplar project. What it authorizes is a formal pledge of the revenues generated by the Park and Poplar allocation area, which this body created. So there's going to be TIF revenues to the payment of lease rentals under the lease, which will ultimately be the backing for the city's economic development revenue bonds that will be used to provide funding for the Park and Poplar project. This also authorizes a pledge of taxpayer agreement revenues. So in the event that a taxpayer agreement was entered into related to this project, the payments under that agreement would also be pledged to the payment of the bonds. And there will be additional bond approvals coming to you later, but this is just the first approval, which is that
First
pledge
step.
of revenues. Yep. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, any questions for Justin? Okay, there is one Scribner's error in the fourth paragraph on the word loaned. Left out the E, at least on the original copy. Well, it is, looks like it is in that copy. So that evidently has been corrected. From what I can see, I think the E is in there. Loaned by the city of
Loaned.
Westfield. So that looks like it's been corrected.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct. Great.
All right, so we have a motion for approval.
I'll motion to approve Resolution
Steve-
45-2025.
Steve Latour has made a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
second by John Dart. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the 2025 RDC spending plan update. Janelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. I am going to have Oscar come up and present the updates that we have on our 2025 spending plan, as well as our
2026? Okay.
Well, we have updates on 2025, and then we also have a 2026 spending plan.
Okay.
We have a couple of minor changes that we've made, and I can't read them from here. So let's see if I can, yeah, we'll zoom in here a bit.
Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, Oscar Gutierrez, Boundary Consulting. To start out with, in regard to the 2025 updates, it was primarily the $10,000 that was gifted to spend in Grand Junction. So again, this is just to finish out the year, clean it up, submit it to the DLGF to be consistent with what was spent. So it's a very minor
change.
adjustment. And then any questions on that one before moving on? And then I believe we do need to vote and pass the amendment. But Alex, are there any other adjustments other than the $10,000?
So there was a $10,000 grant into the RDC Capital Fund. So the previous version was $16,919,000, and now it's $929,000. And then there were a few expenses added under Grand Junction. So there's the $185,000 under legal and $25,000 under construction. So those were some additional costs that were incurred this year that were not reflected on the previous version.
Thank you for that, Alex.
Yeah, I can go over some of the details on those. So the legal fees were associated, I believe that was actually, I think that was all associated with the GPSE agreement. I can confirm that to let you guys know for sure, but I think those were some lingering legal fees that came through to us from Caitlin that had been administered with Taft. And those had always been paid out of Grand Junction in 2024, so it's just a continuation of paying them out of the same source. And then the construction fees in Grand Junction are specifically for the new temporary parking lot that we're building on Park Street. So we have been, CDC has been working with the Public Works Department on an agreement that was executed over the last couple of months to allow the CDC, which is leasing the land from Moyer, to make it available to the city in exchange for Public Works building the parking. So Public Works is completing the work, and then we're paying it out of the allocation area, Grand Junction allocation area.
Okay.
So I would ask for a approval of the 2025 spending plan updates.
Okay.
Everything else should be the same.
Okay, any questions for Oscar or Janelle on that? Okay, open for a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve the 2025 spending plan.
Okay, Brian Michael, second.
Second.
Second, John Dart, thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Now we have the 2026 spending plan. Oscar?
Thank you. And this is relatively the same. Before I begin, I did speak to Brian earlier today, and that prompted me to say that we do this for a lot of clients, and a lot of clients pass it, make the adjustments at the end of the year, and never really look at it. And Westfield and Janelle, Rachel, they're actually using this tool and the cash flow. And if there's any deviations from the previous years, because they continue to improve upon it and actually use it as a budgeting tool and an execution tool. So there's some minor changes on here. The main one that will look a little different to you is the $918,000 on the capital projects for the roundabout. I can't give you the details for that. For that, I would have to pass on to Janelle, but that is one big one on there. And then most of the other ones, I believe, are some of the expenses on the allocation areas are some minor expenses on there that I can go over specific ones if you would like. But let me just start by saying, generally, is this something that you guys are finding useful as board members? Is this something that you want me to cover specifically on here?
I think if you're covering the changes you indicated with the 2025 budget, I think that's fine. You know, I think we recognize that there's bond issues in here that
Yeah,
we're paying back.
Yeah, and
That's
those are
the
all
majority
consistent.
that's the bigger dollars that we're looking at.
That's correct. Alex, anything other than the roundabout that stands out at you?
No, I don't think there's anything to point out unless there's anything specific Janelle wants to touch on in the disbursements. The key is all the debt service, which is tied to all the bonds and the debt service that will be paid from the pay 2026 tax increment that's received by the city.
I think the information you provided, Oscar, with the tax increment areas that are not yet generating any funds, that kind of information is useful to see as we go out, and obviously you're using that for projections.
Yeah, and, you know, we did not include in this, and I'll cover that when we get to that.
Yeah,
I have
I have not, you know, you provided a long report, and I haven't had a chance to dig into that 62-page document yet. I just looked at a few of the pages associated with it to try to get a feel for where you were putting your information. I think next, if there's any questions I have, I'll certainly send out an email and copy everybody as we move forward, and rather than tie up everybody in a public meeting.
That sounds
Great.
good.
And I would like to take a moment to talk about the roundabout that we're intending to pay for out of the Osborne Trails TIF area. So this is a discussion that I've had over the last couple of months with Jonathan Nail with Public Works. There are some road improvement projects that were not on the capital improvement plan that it makes sense to implement in the downtown area because they are adjacent to other developments, and specifically Jersey Street needs to be improved. There are no pedestrian facilities on Jersey Street, and we're getting ready to implement the Grand project there. And there is a significant grade change. There's like a hump in the road, and that lines up right with the entrance to the parking garage. So if the road stays as it is and the parking garage is built to the current road profile, that parking garage has to be quite elevated, but it makes sense to modify the street at the same time the parking garage is being done. So John shifted the capital fund dollars that were allocated to the 191st Street roundabout to the Jersey Street project. And we are paying for the 191st Street roundabout out of Osborne Trails because it directly benefits that area. So this is something that will be very, very appreciated by the people who live up in the Osborne Trails neighborhood. For context, anyone that's not familiar with Osborne Trails, this is at the northwest corner of Grand Park. And this will help their traffic flow to and from their homes.
And the roundabout is
For
there
sure.
right in front of West Fork Whiskey and.
This
That's
is
general.
this is the roundabout at 191st. I think this is the one at 191st Street and Grand Park Boulevard.
Okay, further east.
Yes.
And it's a great use of the funds that are in that area.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's exactly what it's intended
yep,
to do.
that would help.
Yes. And then the other thing that Oscar failed to mention as a huge improvement to this plan is that for this year, in parentheses behind all of the bonds, we have a description of what they are. So now I don't have to memorize what the 2017 TIF bonds were for. I now know that at least it's associated with East Side. And I do use this tool on a regular basis. When the clerk treasurer's office pays debt out of specific allocation areas, I do go back and check this to confirm that she's pulling out of the allocation area that we had anticipated.
Okay, very good. Okay, any other questions for Oscar or Janelle? If not, I'm open for a motion for approval of the 2026 RDC spending plan.
Make a motion to approve the 2026 spending plan.
Okay, motion by Brian Tomamichael. Will I have a second?
Second.
Second by Larry Kemper. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis.
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Tomamichael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. The next item is also for Oscar, presentation to overlapping taxing units.
All right, this is what we call the annual report, November annual report. There's a lot of annual reports, but we'll call this the November annual report. Again, we covered this in the past, last year, a lot of information, and I'll try to go through it quickly. All of the information is quickly referenced on here and here. And on this one, we'll have your beginning balances, your estimated TIF, when it was established, and the expiration dates. One other thing to note here is that some of the ones that say 25 years is that they have not been triggered yet, and then the ones that will be coming off in the near future.
Say that again, they have not, the ones that say 25 years have not been.
They don't have an expiration as of right now. The next one is the beginning cash balance, when it was established, and again, more expiration dates. So we have a lot of allocation areas, as you can see. A lot of them aren't generating anything quite yet. They were just established, and our expectation is that they'll begin establishing. So, for example, Park and Poplar, once we actually close on the bonds that we had introduced earlier, this will begin, and they'll start collecting, and some revenues will come in. There'll be some expenditures in the future. Here is a little bit. Here's one report that in the past you guys have had a lot of questions that it didn't include all of the bonds that are paid for from the allocation area. That is because we are not. It's not that we're not required to. It's that this report asks for the obligations of the RDC, and we do have 3 bonds that are local income tax bonds that, while they are paid out of, 2 of those are paid out of the allocation areas, they are not able to be put on this report because it is a state mandated report. So there are 2 bonds missing here that are paid for from this report, but if you go to the spending plan that we just passed, they are included on there. But the reason they're not included on here is, and also the reason, we do the format that we are required to do, they also don't have the name codings that Janelle was referencing earlier. But this will have the beginning increment, the bonds that we're paying, and the remaining increment only in relation to debt service for coverage purposes.
So that's basically an overall cash flow.
Yes, but it is incomplete because there are 2 additional bonds that are paid out of, but this is for statutory purposes.
Okay.
Alex, was that a fair assessment of how I described it?
Yeah, I would just say that it's a look at the legal obligations that the RDC has to pay from tax increment, but the RDC chooses to use tax increment to pay other bonds that don't have a legal pledge of TIF.
But we're intended to.
Okay, understood.
Thank you, Alex. All right, moving on, and there's a lot of stuff on here. So here is a year-by-year look at the historical increment collections. You can see that some of these are trending up. One thing that I wanted to say earlier that I wanted to wait till we got to this point is that, when we go further into the allocation by allocation, there's a couple that have some minor decreases, but we did do a projection of SB1 of what the expected losses were for allocation areas. And you begin to really see them in 2027, 2028, when the 2% goes into effect. The 2% in relation to SB1 is specific to 2% parcels, meaning multifamily. It also includes senior housing and farmland. But for us, for the RDC, when I mean the royal us, multifamily is where it begins to affect us, and it really starts to ramp up through 2030. So We do have those projections. They're not in this report. It is a little confusing to kind of reconcile the two, so we did not want to over-confuse anything, but we do have that trend of the losses to the RDC as a result of SB1 as part of the report that the mayor asked us to do. We did look at the city and the RDC, but you are beginning to see some minor decreases in a couple of allocation areas as a result of SB1. But again, let me go back to where I was, which is right here. Again, you have the trend and you have the growth rate for these. You can see a negative 1% decrease on that one, but when we calculate the losses, we're also calculating that they should have been trending up. So it won't be a 1-for-1 when we show you the SB1 losses, because it's not going to tie to this, because it's projected losses of TIF, not necessarily what the TIF collections are.
Oscar, I just want to jump in before you move on and clarify that on the previous coverage schedule where we showed all of the TIF combined paying the debt service, we did factor in the SEA1 losses in those numbers. So in that estimated tax increment column, as you see the TIF going down in the first column in future years, that is due to allocation areas that are expiring and because of SEA1 losses that we have incorporated.
That's in here. And you see the major loss here, mainly for expirations. But, so it is trending. So by 2041, you see the losses, but then 2030 is when you start to see the impact of SB1. You kind of see it here a little bit, and keep in mind that these numbers don't look like they're trending down, but they should all be trending up, because we are getting significant development into the city. So the trend down is a result of primarily SB1, but this big one is because of expirations. Thank you, Alex. All right. Overlapping units. When it comes to overlapping units, it's a report that we have talked about in the past. This is just illustratively showing if $10 million if the RDC was to pass $10 million of increment back to units, what it would mean, because there's a lot of conversation around like, well, you're tipping everything, you're taking from the schools and all the other units. So when you take a $10 million number just as a baseline of increment, which is a significant amount of increment, you can see the impact to the overlapping units in relation to tax rate, which is in the, for the library, for example, is 0.000001 and no real value, or for the city of Westfield, you're looking at, a fairly minor number when it comes to what the impact is to them. So again, 0.0016 would be the loss of tax rate to the school. So again, it is a fairly de minimis amount when you look at a $10 million number, which is a reasonable number to do a calculation. Moving on, the next few pages will be specific to each of the allocation areas, and I'll just go through, and I'm not going to go each one by one. I mean, there's a lot of them, but you'll see that if you were to look at any of the few pages coming up, Eagletown, you have the 2025 year net assessed value. This is what the overall value of it went up by almost $30 million in AV, but net increment increase translated to about a $500,000. And you can do the same trending for each of these allocation areas, so Grand Junction, Main Street, East Side, so on and so forth. And if there's a specific one that you'd like me to stop at and cover, I'm happy to. I'm trying to go through all these and not keep you here all night. But happy to answer any questions as we go through them. So we have a lot of allocation areas. A lot of them won't have any activity because they were just created.
As I looked at your report, Oscar, when we started back in 2007 getting ready to go to a city, we had 0 EDAs. We had Village Park Plaza, which was a 50-50 split between the county and the city.
I will
We
say,
had no other allocation area, and Carmel had them back in, I think their first one was either 79 or 80 along US 31.
a
So
lot of
we
these
were a
are,
little behind the curve.
yeah, I think we're a fraction of what Carmel's report would be, but a lot of these are single site areas. So like Park and Poplar is one single project. So you have quite a few of those.
A lot of information to digest for sure.
And you have narratives next on the specific area. So if you want to know what's driving some of these areas, you can have, you have some of the narrative. For example, East Side is used to pay some of the lit bonds, so you kind of have some color on how money's being spent. So this gives you, I think that tying the narrative down to those reports is probably a good way to just take a quick peek at them. So again, these are all the.
That's great to have that background information, Oscar, so thank you for putting that together.
Well, it's mandatory by the state, and we're complying. I do find that there's probably better reporting that we could be giving you, but this, and then the final one, it is the actual bond obligations that are legally required. Again, this will be missing the ones that we are paying for, choosing to pay for out of TIF, but it does have all of our legally required allocation areas. It will have the full table, debt service, interest rate, coupon rate, I should say, not interest rate, and the full AM tables. Going through all of those, we have quite a few. And then Commissioner Dart, you asked about the expiration dates. This page explains per year, depending on when each of the areas were established, they have different expiration dates. So anything established between 95 and 2008 has a 30-year. Anything between these years has a 25. And then there's some that were established this year that will begin, and how TIF is calculated, and that should be the end of the report. I know I kind of tossed 60 pages at you at a lot of mumbling here, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you actually have or answer them via email. There's a lot of activity.
A lot of good work there, Oscar, thank you.
And we're happy to, at another session, go over the SB1 trending, which is only shown in that coverage area. If you wanted to dig into why it's going down, we can show which allocation areas will be mainly impacted. One final thing, Commissioner Plankus had asked what the impact was for, or how the city was trending on a 1%, 2%, and 3%. And I told you the information backwards. It's easy to give you the city's information, and we have to go dig into the TIF. So we did do a report to trend out how it has been done over how the city has diversified their 1%, 2%, and 3% over the last 5 years. And Alex put that report together. It only took he was able to quickly put that together for the city. And we're happy to share that with your permission with the commissioners, because I know you wanted to see that
Yeah,
information.
because we're always striving to try to get that 90-10 percentage ratio better on the commercial side, and be interesting to see what's actually taking place in that arena.
Yeah, and we'll share that with you.
Yep, great, thank you, appreciate that.
And I do.
Okay, any other questions for Oscar or Janelle in regards to this report? It's a lot of information.
Hey, Oscar, I'm curious. Can you go back to page 8? It's the overlapping unit report.
Now, that's hypothetical.
I know it is, and you and I argue about this every year.
All right.
I'm just curious, the 10 million, is that just a number we chose, or? Is that,
Just a reasonable number to pick. Is there a number you'd like to see?
I don't
for
know, maybe
hypothetical?
something that's not
It's a nice round number.
1/100th of the AV value that's within. It feels like a low number compared to what our actual like TIF AV is to kind of give a realistic impact. And then I know we've debated before just any pass-throughs at 3%. And when you have, let's take the school, for example, that's receiving cap loss on it. I think if you actually ran the realistic numbers of releasing AV back, the school would benefit from it at the end of the day, and it wouldn't really be a net zero.
Okay. What would a reasonable number that you would like? I mean, we would like to keep this for the report, but we could give you a hypothetical number, or if you wanted to look at and we do provide that information as projects are coming forward.
Yeah.
When Janelle is presenting, for example, Park and Poplar, she does do the overall, so.
Yeah, no,
So
and it usually
so
shows
this-
the referendum impact and all the other pieces, and I think
So,
it's
so
good to have
this-
on those.
So project per project, that information is being provided to the commission, and this is literally just a portion that has to be put in the report, but,
I'm just
again.
curious offline sometime if we.
yeah, I mean,
play with
we
that
can,
first.
we can plug, I mean, we have the chart, we can plug in any number that you would like, but, since it's hypothetical, we just put a hypothetical round number for a non-financial person to trend out.
Understood. I guess my argument is I just feel like that hypothetical number is like when my kid tries to argue with a penny after I give him $100. When we compare it to what the actual AV is. And you get to an area where the hypothetical number we're choosing is small enough that rounding is going to kill any number there that would show up if we talked about a different, higher number that was more comparable to what the actual net AV is.
We can literally plug any number in, and I just need to get guidance. But for this report, again, this is
No, I
a public
understand.
document, so, you know, if we start putting anything that is too specific, it will raise more questions. So it's just for illustrative numbers, if you want us to add a zero so that it's $100 million, but then, you know, again, some guidance would be, if you guys give some guidance on what number to use, we can work from that. Any thoughts, Alex?
No, I agree with you. I would just add, because this is an illustrative schedule, I know typically a lot of municipalities will just plug in $1 million there, and we've plugged in 10 just because Westfield does have a lot of AV captured by the TIF areas, so we've increased it above the kind of standard $1 million example, but we're happy to use whatever number you'd like us to use in the future.
I understand all that. I guess all I'm trying to say is when you're using 10 million and we're looking at, let's say, $6.2 billion in AV on that, like, you're diluting that example so much that the number, you get inconsequential on any of the, you know, that's all. We don't need to spend more time on it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, I understand. And again, we are providing that information on a project-per-project basis when it's brought forward, so that is, which actually will include referendum impact and everything else. So I do feel that the administration is doing it above and beyond to provide that. But for this purpose, any playing number you guys want to see, we're happy to provide it.
Thank you.
Okay, does this item require action on our part, Ryan?
I don't believe so. Alex, do we typically get this approved to pass, to submit, I mean? I think it's just required to present.
It can be, but it's really just a presentation to the overlapping units, so there's nothing that has to be formally approved.
Okay, that answers my question. Okay, very good. A lot of work there, Oscar and team. We'll dig into the numbers and see what kind of questions we come up with. So get a little bit more time to review it. Okay, next item is Resolution 48-2025, resolution of Westfield Redevelopment Commission declaring an area in the city of Westfield, Indiana as an economic development area and approving an economic development plan for said area. Janelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to give a brief overview that really covers the process that is related to all four of the next action items, and then Dustin is here to talk more about specific legal issues related to any of the EDA processes. Just as a reminder for everyone that this is a 4-step process when we are creating a new economic development area or allocation area. The first is a declaratory resolution here at the RDC. It then goes to Plan Commission for approval, City Council for approval, and then it will come back to the RDC with a public hearing and a confirmatory resolution before that change is completely in effect. And we do have a couple of EDAs that are with new allocation areas, and we don't have any new EDAs here. These are all modifications. Actually, I have just misspoken. Hamilton Crossroads EDA is a new one. All the others are TIF allocation areas that are within existing EDAs. We have left a couple of these, specifically Aurora, Eagletown, and Grand Junction. We made sure to leave them towards the end of the year because they're large enough that we felt like we kept coming back time and time again because we'd have one other project that would get added, or we would have a parcel that would get annexed into the city. Right. So this is kind of end of the year cleanup on these. So I think, Dustin, if you want to add anything specific about the process, happy to let you do some presentations. And if you want to present on these, go for it.
I can do that.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dustin Meeks, Barnes and Thornburg again. So the first of the 4 approval items is to establish a new economic development area and allocation area, which are coterminous with each other. So the EDA and the allocation area are one and the same sort of physically. It'll be known as the Hamilton Crossroads Economic Development Area. And then I believe we went with Hamilton Crossroads Allocation Area because I was feeling very creative. There are 3 parcels in the economic development area and allocation area, which are displayed on the map at the end of the document. It's there in yellow. Also, as an exhibit to this resolution is an economic development plan for the economic development area. The economic development plan walks through generally the projects that the Redevelopment Commission is considering in or serving this area. The plan is intentionally written to be broad, so it gives you options for how best to serve this area using the allocation dollars that come your way, and it generally encompasses most of what you're statutorily authorized to do. We try to draft it that way to give you the most flexibility possible. Happy to answer any questions that you might have about this area or the plan.
If I could add really quickly to this specific economic development area, it is unserved by utilities currently. So for development to happen on this group of parcels, there would need to be some public input into infrastructure development to serve this area. So that is the reason that we would be coming to you in the future with some sort of incentive. We don't know what that package looks like yet, but we've been working with the developer for quite some time on concepts.
Okay. Any other questions for Janelle or Justin? If not, looking for a motion for approval of Resolution 48-2025.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Larry Kemper, motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Second, John Dart, thank you. David, please take the roll.
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Tomamichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item is Resolution 49-2025. Resolution of Westfield Redevelopment Commission amending the declaratory resolution and the economic development plan for the Grand Junction Economic Development Area. Janelle?
I'll explain really quickly why we have this particular area being added to the Grand Junction EDA, and then Dustin can answer any questions that you have about the documents in front of you. This is located at 181st Street and Wheeler Road at the southeast corner, and this is the first of a handful of parcels that we anticipate to be developed as a master development that will require the relocation of a couple of existing industrial facilities. Those buildings are currently there under a temporary use variance, And we are hoping that those businesses will all relocate over to the Aurora allocation area or North Point at some point in the future. But to get this project started, the owner developer would like to get started with this parcel that is along Wheeler Road. And they will be seeking some incentives to help with public infrastructure improvements here.
Okay.
So commissioners, this parcel is currently in the Grand Junction allocation area. And so what this resolution does is it takes it out of that existing allocation area and sets it aside as a separate standalone allocation area, ready to be used as a site-specific for this project. It remains within the Grand Junction Economic Development Area. What the resolution also approves is a plan supplement to the Economic Development Plan for the Grand Junction Economic Development Area, which briefly overviews the project that Janelle has referenced, and sort of sets out that the Redevelopment Commission intends to be engaged in a process with the developer on this development. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Any questions for Justin or Janelle on this item? If not, I'm open for a motion for approval of Resolution 49-2025.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 49-2025.
Motion by Brian Michael. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Steve Latour, second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis.
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper. Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item is Resolution 50-2025. Resolution of the Westfield Redevelopment Commission amending the declaratory resolution and the economic development plan for the Eagletown Economic Development Area. Justin and Janelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. So the parcels that you see here on the map highlighted in yellow are being added to the Eagletown EDA. This is the perimeter of the Trailside development, which has previously come to council and has an economic revitalization area associated with it for abatements. There are numerous infrastructure improvements that need to be happening on this in this area of the city, particularly utility upgrades and transportation network upgrades. There's also the Midland Trace Trail ends right in this area, so there are opportunities for us to expand the Midland Trace Trail further west through Westfield. So this is giving us opportunity to invest those dollars for additional public infrastructure.
Okay, Justin?
So this resolution consolidates that yellow area into your existing Eagletown Economic Development Area and approves a plan supplement that basically lays out that the new area will be subject to the plan and that there is a need to extend your plan to encompass this new area that you're consolidating in.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Janelle or Justin? If not, I'm open for a motion for approval of Resolution 50-2025.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Steve Latour,
Second.
second Larry Kemper. Thank you very much. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis.
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item is Resolution 51-2025, resolution of the Westfield Redevelopment Commission amending the declaratory resolution and the economic development plan for the East Side Economic Development Area. Janelle and Justin?
Yeah, so this economic development area is what we speak of as Aurora TIF areas, but is the East Side Economic Development Area. So what you see in yellow here is properties primarily that have been annexed into the city over the course of 2025. North Point 2 is this large portion that is here north of State Road 38. And then we have a few parcels that are here closer. This is where Beacon is going to be located that is currently under construction, and some additional parcels here that are all contiguous with the North Point allocation area. There was a question that was brought up previously about this tiny little parcel, which is a leftover from a parcel split right here where Beacon is located, and we have confirmed that that is zoned Ag SF1. So before this comes back for a confirmatory resolution, we intend to pull that small parcel out because it's not intended to be a part of the overall improvements that we're planning for commercial uses. Happy to answer any questions that you all have here, and of course Dustin can answer on any of the legal questions.
When will the confirmatory resolution be put in front of us then?
I don't have the actual date yet, but this will have to go to Plan Commission and City Council and then publicly noticed for a public hearing before it comes back. So best guess is probably January, unless we run into a time frame where we have to push it out longer.
So having this listed as, having it shown in yellow on this slide is, and we're approving it as not going to jeopardize.
No. So the statute expressly allows for the modification of the declaratory resolution at the confirmatory stage. On this particular issue, the General Assembly is actually quite helpful. Sometimes there are problems, but on this one they're helpful. And there is it allows us to make edits at the confirmatory stage from the declaratory stage. So it's not often you get kind of a second bite of the apple, but in the redevelopment statute we do. So we'll be able to correct that once we get to the end part of the process. So
Would you clarify whether we can correct it before it goes to the Plan Commission?
I mean, if you wanted to sort of to make a motion to amend the resolution and drop that parcel, and I could replace the map, we can do that. I can also correct it at the confirmatory stage.
I think we should amend it.
Okay.
The other, Janelle, there's that little yellow section right there, which is, that's the piece of property that that gentleman wanted to develop, and we said
Yes.
no, unless it met the other requirements of North Point, correct?
North Point, correct.
Okay, so that's being added as well.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got North Point 2, the little sliver there that you just showed, and then these pieces down at the
Yeah.
bottom left-hand corner, with the exception of that slice.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so when we make the
procedurally,
motion to
they-
approve this, should we
To amend
say
first.
with the amendment being that that little slice is taken out?
We should amend
What's the best way to do this?
Is it parcel 0806 330 0000006.002? Okay. I have GIS up in front of me.
That was very impressive. Since you know the parcel number, you want to make the motion to
This one right
extricate
here?
that one?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution removing parcel 080630 0000006.002 from the resolution.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Steve Latour is a second, so David, please take the roll.
Joe Plankis,
Yes?
John Dart, Brian Tomamichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper, Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes as amended.
All right. And I think now that we've amended the resolution, if we could approve the resolution as amended.
Okay,
I think that's what we agreed on in our huddle. Sorry.
so that was for the amendment, so now we need a motion for approval of the resolution.
Yes, as amended.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for approval of the resolution 51-2025?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
Okay, Brian Michael, I have a second.
Second.
Second, John Dart, thank you very much. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye?
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Tomamichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper, Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, good piece of work. Thank you, folks. Okay, next item on the agenda, thank you, Justin. Next item on the agenda is our 2026 RDC schedule of meetings. David, does this match up with the meetings that have already been approved by the other commissions?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be on the same dates. Okay, any questions on the agenda for, or not the agenda, but the schedule of meetings for next year?
Does this also include executive sessions? Are you planning on executive sessions, and should that be shown on
question.
there? Or not?
The exec sessions do not need to be approved in advance. They will be publicly noticed per statute when, if and when they are called. But they do not need to be
They don't
put
need to be
before
part
you
of this.
today.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so do I have a motion for approval of the schedule of meetings for 2026?
I'll move to approve the 2026 meeting schedule.
Okay, Steve Latour's motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, John Dart. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Tomamichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Steve Latour.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Any other business we haven't already said we have no changes to the agenda, so
Nothing else?
next regular meeting for the RDC will be Monday, December 15th at 6 p.m. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving, and may God continue to bless this great community of Westfield. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
And don't go away because David's got a lot of papers to sign.